Welcome to another edition of From the Vault. It's presented by the Canadian Motorsport Hall of Fame. Today, we go rally racing. As Vic Rauter would famously say, racing in its purest form. Real cars on real roads, real fast. First up from 1993, we witnessed the Rally of Charlevoix in picturesque Pointe-au-Pic, Quebec.
It is motorsports in its purest form. Street legal cars on real roads. It's a flat-out race against the clock. As fast as you dare go. This is the Canadian Rally Championship on TSN. And hello again, everyone. Vic Rauter along with Paul Chater as we bring you highlights of TSN's coverage of the Canadian Rally Championship. Today, the Rally Auto Charlevoix from Pointe-au-Pic, Quebec on the banks of the St. Lawrence. And gathered are some of North America's top rally drivers preparing for a grueling 460 kilometers, 18 stages, Paul.
And as these drivers prepare, they are all talking about North America's greatest rally driver, John Buffum, 11-time U.S. champion, entered in his four-wheel drive Audi. He'll certainly be a threat to win and definitely a treat to watch.
The Canadian Rally Championship on TSN is brought to you by Michelin, because so much is riding on your tires. And by Aerofoil, a visibly superior wiper blade. As John Buffum gets set to attack the first stage, Le Manoir, staged in front of Le Manoir Richelieu.
John Buffum behind the wheel, and in the scary seat, his co-driver, Jeff Becker. Vic, we have to watch them closely. This is a pavement stage. It's downhill. Rally drivers are used to gravel. The ones who are the neatest on these street tires on the pavement are the ones who are going to post the fastest times.
And all the cars leaving in 1-minute intervals, and it's based on the top seed, so it is Buffum first, as we say, through the streets of Pointe-au-Pic.
Now watch this, out the front of Buffum's car, very tidy. He's attacking this like a racetrack. He's not sliding the car too much, but he's got his foot right in that throttle. Remember, he's never seen these corners at speed before. This is an amazing feat.
He may have a bit of an advantage here as we come up to the split time, Paul, 32 seconds flat. Let's remember, John Buffum knows all about pavement. He's a former Trans Am champion before moving to rallying.
And he's used to high-powered Trans Am cars. In this Audi, 350 horsepower out of a 5-cylinder engine, 5-speed box. Look at how tight he is, coming over the railroad tracks, through the hairpin, charging towards the finish line. He's been very neat. There's the whistle, 54 seconds. That's the time to beat.
As Buffum is the first car here in this Rally Auto Charlevoix on TSN. As we mentioned, this through the streets here of Pointe-au-Pic, Quebec. Not far from Quebec City, north in the Laurentian Mountains. And they line the streets and love every minute of it. And the next team up are Canada's 1992 production GT champions, the overall Canadian Rally champions, the team of Tom McGeer and Trish Sparrow, and looking very good, Paul, as if they might win another championship driving their Subaru Legacy.
They have teamed up to win the GT class in 4 of 6 rallies so far this season. They are definitely the dominant GT team in this championship. But Tom is not as used to pavement driving as John Buffum. He's a rally driver. He's used to the dirt. Watch him now as he comes through the turns. There's a lot more play in the wheels. He is sliding the car. He does a little pendulum effect, which we'll explain when he gets onto the dirt, when we can see the outside of the car a little more clearly. But watch him now coming into the hairpin. Watch the split time. Buffum did a 32 into the hairpin. He locks up his wheels, 31.3, 7/10 of a second quicker than Buffum to this point. That's amazing. This car has almost half the horsepower of Buffum's Audi.
Exactly. He has 200 horsepower compared to the 360 in that Audi of Buffum. Over the tracks, gets a little wobbly, now pushes it to the outside and heads down towards the finish line.
Well, watch, the time to beat is 54 seconds set by Buffum, 55. He's a second slower. He lost it in the last half of this course. We could see his hands moving back and forth on the wheel much more. He was scrubbing off speed.
Now, this is some car. This is the Carl Merrill and John Wickens, their Ford Escort Cosworth RS. It is the only car of its type in North America. 400 horsepower, turbocharged, 4-cylinder Ford. And this is what you see in Europe.
The only way to describe this car, Vic, is to call it a weapon. It's got a 7-speed gearbox. It's a $250,000 rally car. Now, watch his hands on the wheel. He's got so much horsepower that the car is actually difficult to control on pavement. He's trying to contain it. It's like a thoroughbred race horse. It just wants to go. But we'll have to see how he comes through the hairpin. 31.2. He's a little slower than the previous much under-horsepowered car that was out on the circuit. Watch him now, downhill, coming into this tight hairpin over the railroad tracks. Watch his hands on the wheel. Very steady, but a big slide coming out, and you don't want to do that too much on the pavement.
Now you think that's going to cost him time. We'll see if the 7-speed, no, look at this, he picks it up, and his co-driver, John Wicken, says, get away from the rail, will you, Carl? Get away. And right now he is tied with his mentor, John Buffum. The next car up, the Eagle Talon TSI of Yves Barbe and Gilles Paul, another of Canada's top production GT teams.
And they've got a chance, despite the horsepower we saw in the Escort. This kind of stage requires really tight precision, and it's downhill, it's not that long.
Oh, look at this. The split time is 31 flat. This is the fastest yet, including open class, the Audi, and that great-looking Ford Escort.
Look at this Eagle Talon, another four-wheel drive car. As I was saying, it's a short stage, so the time differences are going to be very short as well. As he comes over the railroad tracks, you notice how tight he is. He keeps his hand on the gear lever. He doesn't put both hands back on the wheel. That's confidence as he heads down towards the edge of the St. Lawrence.
And he comes in at 54 seconds flat. So we have 3 cars now, all tied for the lead at 54 seconds. The youngest driver in Canadian rallying, Jean-Sébastien Besner, and his co-driver, Brian Maxwell, in their production GT Subaru, are up and vying for a novice championship. Maxwell, a veteran, won championships in 88 and 92 in the less powerful 1750 class.
Now, this is a 1991 Subaru Legacy, 4-wheel drive, again, another 200 horsepower car. But the experience that Besner's got on this type of rallying, there are more pavement stages in Quebec rallies than there are in other places in the country. He's used to it. Watch how tidy he is coming into the hairpin. Whoa, not at all. Locks up all 4 wheels. He really overcooked it, went too deep into the corner, slid sideways. That's going to cost him dearly. 5th fastest at the split. He really used up a lot of time. He almost came to a stop in the hairpin. He's a little tidier this time over the railroad tracks, but gets a big slide.
But you're right, coming over those railway tracks will throw the car off to the right, and you can see what he lost. He needed a lot better than that, 56 seconds, and so there you see the top 3 tied, all at 54 seconds. Buffum, Merrill, and Barbe. 1 stage is complete in the Rally Auto Charlevoix. And some of the other outstanding drives on this, the first stage, include the Toyota of Dubé and Lefebvre. They finished 2nd in the production sports class.
Kemp and Sprongel in their open class Audi 4000. They managed the stage in 57 seconds.
And the Honda Civic of Steve Walkington and Lisa Pelling, who were 3rd in the production 1750 class, showing some style and also, whoa, hold on, entertaining the fans. Get going, get going. Hello there.
The winners of the production 1750 class in their Suzuki were Walter Peterson and Harry Pressey, who managed the stage also in 57 seconds.
Baie and Sandra Latreille in their Escort GT. They're 2-time Canadian champions in their class, 1990, 92, and are once again strong contenders for the 93 championship. And Paul, Baie and Sandra are giving up this class, the 2-wheel car, the Escort GT. They're going to try 4-wheel and the Eagle Talon in their next event.
And the Mazda 323 of Gilles Pellois and co-driver Patrick Bourque found a slightly different line through the hairpin, almost collected that fence to the delight of the fans on the corner.
And as the teams prepare for the first of our gravel stages, they take off the pavement compound tires, replace them with the Michelin M4 gravel tires. It'll be a battle between the 360 horsepower Audi of John Buffum, the 400 horsepower Ford of Carl Merrill. When we return to the Rally Auto Charlevoix, the Canadian Rally Championship, but only here on TSN.
From the Vault is brought to you by M-Zone, premium auto care proudly owned and made by Canadians. By Recap Recovery Drink. By WeatherTech. For the perfect fit and ultimate in-vehicle protection, nothing protects like WeatherTech. Order online at weathertech.ca. And by the Canadian Motorsport Hall of Fame. Visit our website for Hall merchandise.
Welcome back to the Canadian Rally Championship on TSN from Pointe-au-Pit, Quebec, as we head to the 3.3 kilometer stage they called Le Pax. And after two special stages, John Bufham's Audi held a 2 seconds lead on Merrill Wickens and Yves Barbe, but that was all about to change. With Buffam and co-driver Jeff Becker leading, they fell victim to some mechanical problems.
Yeah, we started the first gravel stage. Everything seemed fine on the little asphalt ones, and we went about 100 yards, and heard a bit of a noise in the transmission, a bit of a whine. Then another 100 yards, bang! And we lost almost all drive in the gears, and then started to smell inside. Something broke inside the gearbox, punched a hole in the side, let the fluid out, but by that time it didn't matter. We limped to the end of the stage anyway. Doesn't sound good, whatever it is.
It sure doesn't, but what is bad news for Buffin and Becker is good news for Merrill and Wickens.
Well, they managed to win the stage with a time of 2:27, taking the overall lead in their purple Ford Escort. Very bumpy piece of road. We can see the undulations in the road, particularly here with Yves Barbe and Gilles Lacroix in their Eagle Talon. They were tied for second with Merrill Wickens, but giving up 180 horsepower cost them 9 seconds on this stage and dropped them down to second.
Now, Tom McGeer and Trish Sparrow in their Subaru Legacy were 2 seconds behind their production GT class competitors of Barbe and Lacroix. They would tie this stage with a time of 2:35. Paul, the L30 designation on the tires means that coming up, it's a high speed and it's gravel.
John Buffam hangs up his driver's gloves and picks up his work gloves, helping to prepare the Wickens Merrill car, a car that he helped to build himself. They are overall leaders, fighting off the challenge of the Canadians here at the Rally Auto Charlevoix as they get ready for the next high-speed gravel stage.
So Wickens and Merrill are your leaders, followed by Barbe, Lacroix, and then the team of McGeer and Sparrow. This is the Canadian Rally Championship, and it's only right here on TSN. Welcome back to Pointe-au-Pit and TSN's coverage of the Canadian Rally Championships as we take a ride with Tom McGeer and Trish Sparrow, who are trying to catch the U.S. team of Merrill Wickens in their 400 horsepower supercar, and fellow Canadians Barbe and Lacroix in their Eagle Talon. A second place here would be enough, though, to guarantee them another Canadian production GT championship. And this is the Sainte-Croix stage, 5.42 kilometers, some very high speeds, very loose gravel as we ride along with McGeer and Sparrow, averaging 108 kilometers an hour.
Look at how sideways he gets in that bend. He has got it in fourth gear, his foot right down on the throttle. Look at these long straights. You really can't tell how fast he's going here, but watch those trees whip by. He's coming up to a left-hand bend now. Watch him throw the car in the opposite direction a little bit first, and then a nice big slide. He doesn't get it too close to the edge because he doesn't know what's around that corner.
And did you see the split time, Paul? 1:39.3, which puts them in first place. It really does take great teamwork.
When we're on a special stage, Trish is telling me when the corners are coming up. She's counting down the corners, the instructions, and warning me when the corners are coming. So it helps me that I can keep the maximum pace up until the spot where I have to slow down. And also, if we do stages more than once, we can note the stages as we go through the first time, and any bad corners or any things that we go too fast, to where we can make up time. She can spot those things, and the second time through, we can usually shave off a few seconds.
And shave off a few seconds, that's exactly what they're doing. Again, got to point out here, they never see the stage before they drive it.
Imagine how much courage it takes at this speed. Now watch him, he grabs fourth gear down a gear, slides the car, he has no idea what's around the next corner, then he plants his foot hard onto the throttle, coming to a crest of a hill here, he doesn't know what's on the other side. Does he lift off? Not a tick. There's 160 kilometers an hour on a gravel road.
Now we should point out as well, if they repeat the stage, and sometimes they do because there's not enough road to use, the co-driver can make notes so they can, at least improve it. But look at this, how they find the apex of every corner. Now up over the blind, crown of the hill, and boom, by.
Fastest car in this stage, good time. Now let's watch from the inside with Barbe and Lacroix. Here's a four-wheel drive Eagle Talon. Watch his hands through the corners. The car starts to slide. He's sawing away on the wheel, trying to keep it out of the ditches, out of the weeds. Well, I mean, once you're off the road in a rally, you can forget it. So you can't afford to make a big mistake like you can on a racetrack, for example, where you could spin. Now watch how steady his hands are, very lightly on the wheel. He's got his foot buried through the firewall. There goes fourth gear. That's 150, 160 kilometers an hour. Gears down, puts it in a slide for this left-hander. His split time in the lead, 1:39.
Now remember, the time to beat is 3:06:01. So he's going to have to be almost perfect if he wants to catch the leaders right now, McGear and Sparrow.
Now, we just saw the key to being cool. He's not hanging on to that steering wheel like he's hanging on for dear life. He's very light on the wheel. You've got to keep the car dancing through the corners. It wants to float across the gravel anyway, so if you're hanging on tight to it, you can't make those fine adjustments. Look at how quiet his hands are on the wheel. He grabs down a gear, watch him slide it through. Oh, big overcorrection. That's going to cost him a lot. He got the car swinging back and forth in the middle of the turn.
Now at the interval, he was ahead by 0.3 of a second, but that little fishtailing probably will cost him as they come up now to complete this stage.
Got him?
Down the high-speed section, this is where the Ford Escort will really make up some time. But listen to this.
3:06:1 is the time to beat. Oh my, what a great run as he comes in at 3:05 flat, and who would have thought that? So he has the lead, the team of Barbe and Lacroix, temporarily.
Temporarily is right. Here's the 400 horsepower monster of Marilyn Wickens. 7-speed gearbox. This is going to give them a tremendous advantage on a stage this fast.
Now, where does that gearbox come into play when you say an advantage? Where do you use the 7th as compared to the 1st?
Well, watch him once he hits the straightaway. We can see him come through the tight corners now. He's down into 3rd gear. He's got his foot hard on it, just backs off a little bit, gets a slide, straightens it out, and as soon as he can plant his foot, there he goes, up through the gears. Look at how long and straight this is. Look at the speed on this gravel road. Now, when everybody else has hit 5th gear, he's still got 2 left.
And he's got a whole lot of horsepower as well. Remember, 400 horsepower coming out of this turbocharged Ford Cosworth engine. And this Cosworth is performing more like an Indy Cosworth. He beats the interval by 6 full seconds. Incredible.
It is incredible, and that's horsepower. This car is blindingly fast. We can see here, not even a Bell Jet Ranger helicopter can stay with this rally car. And he's on gravel. The chopper's in open air. Watch him come up to this left-hander. Hard on the brakes, puts the car into a really nice slide. Gets it straightened out early so he can get his foot down on the throttle sooner for the next straightaway after that turn.
And let's remember, this is a $250,000 rally car.
This is not something you want to put in one of those ditches.
Oh boy, but I tell you what, through it and then it just grabs and off he goes.
4-wheel drive, 7 speeds, all that horsepower, and look how nimble it is through this hairpin. He does it beautifully. Maybe a bit slower than he should have. He could have gone faster through there, but he's saving the car. That's still early in the rally. Now look at this speed. At the end of this straight, we're talking about 180, 185 kilometers an hour. You can see in the rally car that the co-driver is not right beside him. He's actually sitting a little farther back. This transfers some of the weight over the rear of the car, stabilizes, balances it a little better.
And his time, unbelievably, 2:50 flat for Marilyn Wickens, as that places them in 1st place in the stage and 1st overall for the rally, as Barbe and Lacroix are 37 seconds back, McGear and Sparrow 40. But remember, the 2nd and 3rd place cars battling for the Production GT Championship. McGear and Sparrow only back by 3 seconds. Some of the other action from the Saint Croix stage include the run of the Mazda 323 of Jean-Marc Alcaraz and co-driver Paul Normandieu, who went to the ragged edge, showing the hazards of this sport of rallying.
You watch them coming into the turn way too fast. Get this little 4-wheel drive Mazda in a big slide too far to the edge of the course, and they start to slide down, just bounce it off the fence. Another foot, 2 feet further, they probably would have rolled.
And Jean-Marc Alcaraz would not be content with anything but 1st, and he continued to push that Mazda for all it was worth. And Paul, sometimes you can just try too hard.
Well, look at this, another left-hand bend, the only tight corner other than the one he previously messed up. He went in way too hot. He got on the brakes, didn't straighten it out, locked up all four wheels, went straight off into the weeds. Now, fortunately, there were some spectators on this turn. They were quick to help him out.
Coming up, the final stages of the Rally Auto Charlevoix, the Canadian Rally Championship, and it's only right here on TSN. Welcome back to the final stages of the Rally Auto Charlevoix from beautiful Pointe-aux-Piques.
As the sun began to set, it became a fight for second overall and first in the production GT class, with McGear-Sparrow trying to make up time on Barbe Lacroix. Running even from stage to stage, it was the superior night driving of Tom McGear that the team relied on, hoping to win the production GT class on the way to a championship.
Now, you've got to think that if you've never seen these stages before, it's tough enough during the daytime, but at night, even more so.
Well, in the daylight, Vic, when you're coming to the crest of a hill, you watch the tops of the trees far ahead to get an indication of which way the road goes. In the dark, you don't have that luxury. You're really driving off just the headlights.
Now, McGear and Sparrow were so strong at night, they were able to post overall wins in the final three stages to ensure second place overall, a production GT class win, beating Barbe Lacroix by 4 minutes.
You can see how little you can see in the dark. You've got exactly what's directly in front of you. You can't see as well around the turns. The driver's eyes are already trying to reach past the headlights around that corner. And it's almost impossible to go as fast in the dark as it is in the daylight.
But you can see those driving headlights, the added lamp power that all the rally cars have. Now, the overall win went to Carl Merrill, John Wickens in the Ford Escort Cosworth, who held on to win by a scant 35 seconds and celebrated to the delight of the fans, winning his third rally in a row. So that $250,000 car pays off for Merrill and Wickens. Trish Sparrow, Tom McGear finishing second overall, first in class, wrap up the 93 Production GT Championship for a second year in a row in their Subaru legacy.
Well-earned champagne after a long, hot day.
And they edged out Barbe and Lacroix in the Eagle Talon, third overall and second in the class.
I thought McGear was going to catch me.
Yeah, because they were less than a minute, 2 stages from the end.
Yeah, we were running with just a rear-wheel drive car. I'd lost my viscous coupling, so my front wheels didn't work.
Doesn't seem to slow you down?
Oh, a little. I should have done a lot better. But he did really well, I thought. When on the way in, I really thought he was going to get me.
Yeah, well, we were chipping away. He had some problems with his transmission. He was in and out of four-wheel drive, so we ended up catching up to him. We were only, I think, 20 seconds or 25 seconds at the end of the rally, so it was pretty close, but oh well, next time.
The Canadian Rally Championship on TSN is brought to you by Michelin, because so much is riding on your tires, and by Aerofoil, a visibly superior wiper blade. Now, on behalf of Paul Chater and our entire crew, I'm Vic Rauter. Thanks for joining us, and goodbye from Pointe-aux-Piques.
Carl Merrill was a force on the American and Canadian rally scene in the 90s before he passed. Coming out from New Richmond, Quebec, is the 2001 Rally Baie de Chaleurs. Rally racing came to the forefront because of the group from Patterson-Partington who put the spotlight on the Canadian rally scene.
Racing in its purest form. Real cars on real roads, real fast. It's the Subaru Canadian Rally Championship on TSN. And we welcome you to the 24th edition of the Rally Baie de Chaleurs from New Richmond, Quebec. Hi again, everyone. Vic Rauter along with our rally analyst, Paul Chater.
Thanks, Vic. Here we are in the beautiful Gaspé region, just across the bay from New Brunswick.
Blue skies, Paul, blue water, and of course lots of fans who are anything but blue coming to watch this fifth event at the start of the second half of the Canadian Championship.
Yeah, and the population probably doubles on this weekend, and they love their rallying here.
And Paul, while the teams are getting ready, we should talk about some teams who are not here.
Exactly. Frank and Dan Sprongel and also Keith Townsend will not participate this weekend, but we do have a visitor from Belgium, Dominique Julien. We'll talk about him a little later.
The reigning Canadian champion is Tom
Over
McGeer.
60 points. Sylvain is closest behind us at 35. That gives us a pretty wide margin right now. With 20 points for a win, we're sitting pretty comfortably. And that'll allow us to basically to play around with the car. We can make some changes to the car now without really worrying about if the effect isn't so good about losing anything. Before, we had to be very careful about doing that. So now we can afford to play a bit, see if the car makes the car go faster, while at the same time just cruising along and not wanting to lose any major points.
The Impreza WRX has been very impressive. It won both legs out west.
Yeah, Vic, they had minor turbo problems caused by the altitude in the Rockies, but that will not be a factor here. Looks like the Subaru Canada team has everything under control, and there's a perfect example.
Second at the start line, Barry and Sandra Latreille, the privateers from Cornwall, Ontario, in an Eagle Talon Open class. Always a favorite.
Unfortunately, though, Barry rolled the car a little over a kilometer into the first stage, and looking at the damage, there have been talks of retirement.
And that is a shame. Let's hope that Barry and Sandra will reconsider and will be back in the very near future. Car number 3, Jonathan Nichols with co-driver Eric Tremblay in the Lachute Subaru Impreza WRX.
We're here this year with the Subaru. First time in a Subaru, new experience for us. We're looking to finish this event as best as we can without overdoing it. We didn't have that much time to test the car, so it's going to be a very new experience. A lot of old habits to break. This is a very different driving style from front-wheel drive to four-wheel drive.
Now this car was previously driven by Sylvain Vincent.
John only drove this car for about 20 kilometers in practice, so we can probably expect him to take it easy at first. He should get progressively quicker as he learns the car better. Eric Tremblay, his co-driver, is an old pro, so he'll help pacing John through this. Plus, John doesn't really know what condition the car is in and how it will take the abuse of the Baie roads.
And a key to surviving the Baie is surviving Friday night. It's always a big factor. Fourth at the start line, Jean-Sebastian Besner with his father, of course, Jacques, in the co-driver's seat, and they're in a Mitsubishi Lancer Evo 5, which is a Group N car.
Group N cars do not have as much power, but this car in particular has proven to be quite reliable.
And the Besners had a podium out west, you'll remember, and let's not forget that it's his first season in the car, so he's still learning all kinds of things about it. Car number 5, Sylvain and Philippe Eriksson in the Mazda GTR. Why a Mazda?
The power is the first thing, because with the Lancer, it started the event, and it finished the event, but the power is not there. And with the Mazda, the power is there. Only the problem with the Mazda could be the problem, if you want. It's the reliability, and if it's there, we could fight with McGeer today, this weekend. If it's not there, we can do nothing.
And he has had a win earlier in the Personnage, but in a Mitsubishi Evo.
Now this again is somebody else's old car. This used to be driven by Jean-Marc Alcaraz.
An absolute rocket, 400 plus horsepower. Short wheelbase, it's almost like driving a go-kart. The only problem, as Sylvain said, is the reliability of the car. With this car, if it holds, he's one of the few drivers who could put some pressure on Tom McGeer. We'll have to wait and see.
Patrick Richard and Ian McCurdy in another WRX. What about their season so far?
Well, the first half of the season, we had 2 first places and 2 basically events where we got no points. Our strategy right now is we're going to try to go flat out, try to gain on the leaders in the production GT class and also improve on our overall position. From this point forward in the championship, it's probably in my best interest to drive flat out, and that's what I intend to do. So we're going to start off at about between 90 and 100%.
And Pat is competing, Paul, in something they call P4, which used to be called the production GT class.
Yeah, the Impreza is basically stock with the exception of the safety roll cage and some minor adjustments and some changes to the suspension, but the engine is the same as anyone could buy from their Subaru dealer.
Car number 7, the third member of the Subaru Canada team, John Painter, his brother Clark. He's the co-driver. It's another Subaru WRX.
They are probably having their best season so far with a podium finish at the Bighorn.
Next, Dominique Julien from Belgium and Hughes Sear from New Richmond in a Mitsubishi Lancer Evo 4. This is Sylvain Ericsson's car.
And they have an exchange between Quebec and Belgium. Dominique is here in Sylvain's car, and Ericsson will be driving Dominique's car in an event in Belgium later in the year. There might be some adjustment for Monsieur Julien because he's used to driving with pace notes, but fortunately his co-driver is from this area, so they know the roads. I'm sure they'll need an adjustment period with each other, though, particularly at night.
And like this, a little adjustment needed here.
Yeah, well, he thought the corner was called a little too late. At least there's no damage, but they will lose about 7 minutes getting the car back onto the road.
Now with Sylvain Ericsson only a few seconds behind Tom McGear, slowing down because it looks like there may be a problem.
Second back of McGear, we run well, except now the gearbox is broke. That's it, that's all for this weekend.
Painters out as well. They've rolled the car. John broke a bone in his hand. Their rally is over. So after 6 stages, McGear already leads by more than 2 minutes, followed by Richard, Nichols, Besner, and in 5th, Laverdière. The Canadian Rally Championship on TSN is brought to you by Yokohama Performance Radials, now you've got control, and by Subaru, the beauty of all-wheel drive. Welcome back to the Baie de Chaleurs Rally here on TSN. And yes, that is a deer in the headlights of this car. Tom McGear as the B-leg begins Saturday morning. Tom with a 2-minute lead over Pat Richard. Paul, 14 competitors, DNF on Friday, which is not unusual for the Baie.
It should be a little more relaxed today with Ericsson out of the picture. Tom and Mark here can concentrate on finishing and maybe fine-tuning the car for some future events. The pressure is off for now, but they still can't afford a big mistake because Richard and Nichols are not that far behind, considering we're only halfway into the event.
And after the reseeding, Pat Richard in the Impreza. Well, now he has a 44-second lead over Nichols.
It's not biting. Yeah. The left rear corner. So the fish is like 300 square, 90 right. Oh. 200.
Today we're taking it a little bit easier. We're going to try to consolidate our position. John's about 40 seconds back, but we're letting him take a few seconds here and there. Hopefully we'll be able to keep second place, but we're still first in class if we come third, so I'll be happy either way.
But he doesn't appear to be happy with the setup. Third on the road, John Nichols in the Subaru. The car and driver seem to be going a little better.
John is a very smooth ex-ice racing driver, but he's still getting used to the car. Nothing went wrong last night. He took good care of it. We asked him.
The car is fantastic. The Subaru is really a big step up for me, and it's a great car. At first I thought it might be a bit delicate, but it's a very rugged car, and it's really putting up with the abuse.
All right, you go from front-wheel drive, that's what he used to do, to now four-wheel drive. How much of a change is it for you?
Actually, for the front-wheel drive driver, it's not as big a change as from rear-wheel drive. But there's still a huge difference in the braking technique used. Now, let's watch his left foot here on the brake, coming into the turns. Change gears, right foot brake, and then switch back to his left foot. Now look, double clutching, downshift, heel and toe. As the car is in neutral, rocking your foot sideways, bringing the revs up on the gas pedal, at the same time working the other two pedals. That's a dance. Now watch him stab the brakes into the corner. Left foot, kicks the tail out a little, keeps his right foot down on the throttle. So he's got some momentum, he's got the inertia, the speed built up to get out of the turn, and is steering the car with his left foot.
Now, by comparison, let's take a look at Pat Richard. Now, earlier he had said he wasn't happy with the rear left. It wasn't biting quite as well. Let's see how he dances on the pedals.
Now, watch his feet. He's going to be using the brake pedal in a much different fashion. Four-wheel drive cars are heavier. They're carrying a little more speed into the corners. See him? He's squeezing the brake pedal on. He's settling the car down for the turn. And he's, there again, double clutch downshift. But he's steering the car more with the throttle, not quite so much with the brake.
In 200, medium left. 100.
He appears to be more aggressive.
Listen to his breathing.
200, 90 right.
Got the pulse going.
He's working hard.
Car number 12, Bruno Laverdiere with Bigel Lacroix co-driving. And hey, they had a great Friday night, ended up in 5th place in the Baie.
Antoine Lestage and Yannick Naperin, another talent, 1990 TSI. Young driver with a lot of promise for the future.
Back now with our Belgian visitor, Dominique Julien, the Evo 4. He finished Friday 19th, but he's doing much better Saturday.
And we can't forget that this is Dominique's first rally on gravel. In Belgium, they only run on asphalt, so that alone is a big adjustment. Add to that a new co-driver and no pace notes, I'm sure he'll climb up the standings barring any problems on the B-leg. He posted the 5th fastest time.
And if he is looking more comfortable, so is John Nichols.
He had to take it easy last night, which was almost a test session for him. He's doing much better today and actually took a few seconds off Richard's time, and there is still a long way to go. Now watch it through this turn. Very conservative, actually.
Now, by comparison,
right, slippery.
Pat Richard.
Oh, bad Odo. Sorry, Pat.
Bad Odo. He warned Richard too late of that slippery corner, and they almost lost it.
Now up to the same corner we just saw with Nichols.
Now that's aggressive. Slide it sideways, stuff your foot down on the throttle, and away you go.
Yeah, but you wonder if he's pushing too hard, maybe.
Marc Racine and Luc Pichet in the Honda started 6th for the B-leg. They finished on the podium last year. Very rough roads. Look at all that heavy gravel. Those are rocks, that's not gravel. He was leading Group 2, running well, but the transmission just couldn't take it.
Let's bring you up to date on the other class leaders in P2. Stéphane Levesque, Jerry Plord in their 85 Corolla GTS. In Group 2, William Bacon, Alan Grant, a 97 Integra RS. In N4, Jean-Sébastien Besner, Jacques Besner, their Lancer, Evo 5. P3, Peter Riley, Ray Felice, brand new Focus ZX3. And in P1, it's Patrick Sear and Mark Boudreau in their 1990 Swift GT. After 14 stages, Bagheer's lead, more than 3 minutes. Welcome back to the Baie de Chaleurs, and just a 60-minute service for the teams. Everyone getting ready for the final leg, consisting of a 25-kilometer stage. They'll run it twice, and which, by the way, Paul, will happen to be the longest stages of the rally.
Yeah, and on stages that long, it's where you can really pick up time on the other teams, but by the same token, you can also lose a lot if you make a big mistake.
All right, Tom has a 4-minute lead on his teammate, Pat Richard. What does he do?
Well, with 50K left, he can relax a bit. Of course, car prep's important, particularly on such a demanding stage, but you can bet that the team has the car ready. Tom can enjoy the stage, back off a little bit.
Yeah, but you wouldn't know it by this kind of driving.
I think he's having fun now, and who wouldn't on this road?
Well, you know what he is. He's a showman, and he wants to give everybody a show here in Baie de Chaleurs.
Look at this, going up a gear, up a gear, up a gear, off the ground. This is a fast piece of road. Off the ground again.
Done. Into 90 right, 100, square left. Careful, this is the one where we tip.
Where we tip. Nice word for a rollover.
Now, as we look at Richard and McCurdy, Paul, let's remember they had a 49-second lead on the third-place team of John Nichols.
100.
Yeah, he's confident, he's aggressive. I get the feeling he wants to beat Tom in this stage. He really would love to win a stage. The crowd loves to see him slide through these corners.
Now then there's John Nichols. 40 seconds behind Richard. Can he catch him?
Unlikely, the way Pat is driving right now. But John is still learning the car, and last night he didn't know if the car would last for the duration, so at this point, he would probably be happy with a podium. This is an R&D run for him, really, and I think John will be a force to be reckoned with for the rest of the season.
Yeah, but you wonder if he'll challenge Bagheer, for example.
In the open class, Tom is almost in a class by himself. John has a talent, but you need more than that. You need money, a team, testing, horsepower. He could give Pat Richard a run for his money in the overall standings before the end of the season. Stay tuned.
Now at the end of the stage, Pat Richard still ran this stage 20 seconds faster than John. John Sebastian, Father Jacques, 1 minute and 40 seconds further behind Nichols in 4th spot.
With a Group N car, which has less power than Nichols' open class car, it would be difficult for him to catch up to John, and he still has a 9-minute lead over 5th place, so he just wants to make sure he finishes. Whoa!
Now that's air.
That's a lot of air. Let's have another look at that one.
And it's a good landing, too.
It's a great landing. Look at that. 1 wheel, 2, 3, 4. Best way to land.
Great rally from Antoine Lesage and Yannick Naper in their Talon. They would finish 5th overall and 2nd in P4 class.
Yeah, and I think we're going to hear a lot more of them in the future. Antoine's father used to rally, so it must be in the genes. Maybe he can give Pat Richard a run for his money in P4. See, he landed 2 front wheels at the same time. That's bone jarring.
Bruno Laverdiere and Bijou Lacroix will finish 6th overall, 3rd in P4, having been passed by Lesage on the Baie.
And a good, steady run for this team. Great landing off the jump.
And after a terrible start Friday, our Belgian friend, very good on the Baie, especially the second time around, and a number of stages.
Dominique will be back for Charlevoix, and there's talk he'll compete the full championship next year in Group N. He figures it's cheaper for him to compete here than at home, so he'll bring over his Evo 6 shortly.
And with so many stars and their cars, it's time to give them some airtime.
Now watch the different landing techniques.
That's okay.
That's a good one.
That's a 9. Up.
That hurt.
Russian judge gives him a 5.
See, you don't want the car to hop around after you've landed it. You want it to plant it.
Kind of tough when it's short wheelbase like that. McGear still leads. Richard, his lead, 1 minute, 1 second over Nichols. It's the final stage of this, the 24th edition of the Baie de Chaleurs Rally, and for Tom McGear, Paul, he could stop and have a coffee.
Yeah, not quite. He still has to finish. But the competition, well, not that great this weekend. Next weekend, Tom and a number of other Canadians like the Sprongles, Keith Townsend, Pat Richard, and many others are heading to Maine for the Maine Forest Rally. And with 120 cars registered, you know that Tom will be pushed a little more than he was this weekend, and I'm sure he's looking forward to it. Let's see how he does at this jump coming up. Ooh, perfect.
Meanwhile, Pat Richard, Ian McCurdy, and they are pretty well assured of second place.
90 left, acute right at the top of the hill.
They did not have some good results at the beginning of the season. They need the points in both P4 and overall, so they want to make sure they finish on the podium.
150 jump. 300 jump. Hang on. 200. Whoa. Another jump at the top of the hill. Careful.
Whoa!
Yeah!
That was funny.
I think they like this even more than the fans. Wow, that's a lot of air.
John Nichols, Eric Tremblay. Look, give them credit. They gave it their best shot. They're just not going to catch Richard.
No, but Pat is so comfortable in this car, and John is, again, still getting used to this one. But a third is a good result for him. John and Eric can build on it in the future. Plus, John is still a factor for second place in the championship, so the points are important.
Yeah, this championship, for all intents and purposes, now belongs to Tom McGear if they finish in this order.
It is possible mathematically for Tom to lose, but he would have to DNF the remaining rallies, and Pat, Sylvain Jean, or the Painters would have to win all the events.
The Besners, they'll finish 4th overall and 1st in Group N.
A good steady run for the father and son team, which helps them in their quest for the Coupe de Quebec. It looks like they have a very good chance to win the Group N Canadian Championship.
So it's 4 wins in 5 rallies for Tom McGeer.
Looks like another one for the record books. We're pretty happy about the result. The last 2 stages were just fabulous. Conditions were great in there. It's such a fun stage to drive. It's tight, twisty, flat out, open, and then that great jump at the end. Beautiful.
And it's a well-deserved second place for Pat Richard.
I think we're second overall, 1 P4, and I'm ecstatic.
John Nichols, Eric Tremblay, 3rd overall. As it's Subaru, 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 followed by Mitsubishi and the Eagle Talon of Lesage and Napier.
And the class winners in Group N, Besner and Besner, in their Mitsubishi Lancer Evo 5. Group 2, Bacon and Grant in an Integra. P4, Richard and McCurdy in their Subaru. P3 goes to Cummins and Pressey in a Neon. P2, Stéphane Levesque, Jerry Plourde in a Corolla. And finally, in P1, Patrick Cyr, Marc Boudreau in a Swift GT.
As for the driver's standings, Paul, you mentioned mathematically Tom McGeer can still be caught, but unlikely he would have to DNF. So it looks like a second straight championship for Tom McGeer. The Subaru Canadian Rally Championship on TSN brought to you by Yokohama Performance Radials, now you've got control, and by Subaru, the beauty of all-wheel drive. An all Subaru podium. The next event of the Canadian Rally Championship is the Rally of the Voyageur. Now on behalf of Paul and our entire crew, thanks for joining us. This is the Subaru Canadian Rally Championship on TSN.
Tom McGeer wins the rally and would go on to win a handful of Canadian Rally Championships. Second place is a young Pat Richard, who was inducted to the Hall in 2023. If you would like to induct someone into the racing media or builder category, go to cmhf.ca. I'm Todd Lewis. Thanks for watching.
From the Vault is brought to you by M-Zone, premium auto care proudly owned and made by Canadians. By Recap Recovery Drink. By WeatherTech. For the perfect fit and ultimate in-vehicle protection, nothing protects like WeatherTech. Order online at weathertech.ca. And by the Canadian Motorsport Hall of Fame. Visit our website for Hall merchandise.